Okay.
Okay, another edition of Sal's House from the NFL Scouting Combine 2026. My guy, Brandon Krisztal, joining me. We go back many years. The first time I met you was at an owner's meeting, and I needed a little help with some audio, and you said, hey, grab this. I got you, buddy. I'll send you the audio. And you're still doing that. You're like helping me set up with this audio, this video everywhere.
I know, I do it.
If you weren't in sports, you'd be a tech guy.
I've done it for Diana Rossini last year at the owners' meetings, Josina Anderson, my friends from Kansas City, Seren Petro yesterday.
Yes.
I was like, hey, you got to get this, here, use my mixer. Like, we help each other out in this biz, even with folks that we compete against at other radio stations or TV
It was fun
stations.
to catch up with Seren. I knew Seren at Syracuse.
Guys, right?
Yeah, so here's the deal. First ever fantasy baseball league I was in, he was in.
Who won?
I don't remember. It wasn't me for sure. But it was way back in the 90s at Syracuse. Tell everybody where they can find your content, because you've been all over. You started your own thing here, and you've been a part of it. Guerilla Sports.
Guerilla
it's really
Sports,
cool.
Yeah, we're a little more than 2 years in, and it's a digital platform, so all internet based, but it's coverage of all the teams in Denver as well as some national stuff. Woody Page does a show every week with us. Jake Plummer during the football season has a couple shows.
Does he have a
during the
chalkboard
week.
behind him?
He does have the chalkboard. The chalkboard's there. It's called After the Horn. So Woody's been doing that with a couple of his local pals in Denver, but then he gets a lot of the Around the Horn folks on. Had Jay Adonde on at the Super Bowl. Tony Reale was their first guest, Sarah Spade. And so then we cover the Avs better than anybody. I don't want to take credit for that. Our Avs coverage is outstanding. And obviously the best team in hockey in a lot of people's estimation. Nuggets coverage, is second to none. But we also have, I said national show, Shelby Harris, Ryan Harris, Chris Harris. Ryan and Chris were on that Super Bowl 50 team.
That's right.
They do a show called We're the Harrises that I created. That's basically like inside the NFL. They're just talking about the league.
Yeah.
I mean, they talk about the Broncos some, but they're talking Bills, they're talking Raiders, they're talking Browns because Shelby was on the Browns. Yeah. So we're, it's a content provider
for sure,
covering all things Denver, and I cover the NFL just the same. And
we're going to talk Bills-Broncos. Want to thank my sponsor, Sports City Pizza Pub, 1407 Niagara Street. I was able to take the radio crew a couple years ago out. They love the pizza and wings, so Susie returned the favor this year.
I was a little disappointed when she took you. I'm not going to say the place. Okay. It's a fine place. Okay, it's a Denver sports bar. I just thought that there were some certainly much better restaurant, but you did just want to do kind of wings and beers.
Yeah,
so I think it checked that box.
And then, of course, we have Herbal IQ, a New York State licensed dispensary. Great showroom at 6300 Transit Road in Depew. Check them out. And then TSE Buffalo, TSEbuffalo.com. Are you into memorabilia or card collecting?
Well, so what's funny is I'm pals with the Panini guys, but I also know some of the folks at Fanatics. Yeah. And so they have no problem giving me stuff to give them to my kiddos.
Yeah.
And so I collected when I was a kid. Didn't ever have any. I never had the Ken Griffey rookie that my cousin had.
I have a bunch.
My cousin, my cousin who was about 5 or 6 years older than me. So I'm 47. I graduated in 96. Yep. So he was a couple years. So he had a job. He bought all these Griffey cards. Not a baseball fan, not even a sports fan. Just did it as an investment. Years later, I asked him, "Hey, whatever happened to those cards?" He said, "Well, when my dad remodeled the house, he threw them all away."
Oh my God!
And I was like, you know what? That's what you get, because karmically, you were only in it for the money and you did not love baseball or what baseball cards meant to us.
Oh, my God.
But it's been so fun to see the renaissance. I'm going to try to make it out to Fanatics Fest, actually.
I was there last year.
Yeah, I heard it.
My son is 12 years old. He's majoring in it. My son literally took his own money, $500, sent off cards of PSA to get graded recently.
Wow.
Because he's so into it. He does everything the right way. But I want to tell everybody what's going on at TSE. Check this out. Mystery cards, $59.99. If you buy 2 or more, it's $50 each. And customers have a chance to pull anything from a rookie, a Hall of Famer, or an MVP. And one Josh Allen Wyoming card is going to be getting shipped out from everybody who's enters here.
Yeah, Josh Allen obviously is a kind of, I don't call him a folk hero in the Rocky Mountain region, but it was like the one that got away.
Yeah.
Because he obviously
that was a big storyline.
California, comes to Wyoming. John Elway went up and watched his pro day, saw him play during the season, watched his bowl game. And a lot of people thought, oh, there's so many similarities there. But I think they had still felt burned by Paxton Lynch, because it was just a year earlier that they reached on Paxton Lynch. They hadn't really recovered from Brock Osweiler leaving and Peyton Manning retiring and all that. And so Bradley Chubb sits there at 5, and they end up taking Chubb, who's had a really nice career when he's on the field. We know that he is a Pro Bowl player when he can play, and a Pro Bowl person in the community. But he's not what Josh Allen has become. Now, I don't know if Josh Allen gets coached the same way in Denver,
right?
Because of the staff that was there at the time and how they would have had patience and approached their development of him.
So let me ask you a question.
But I know he wanted to come there too, because I talked to him at the Senior Bowl. I talked to him right here in this room, and he was excited. His running back in high school or in college played for Dave Logan in high school.
Dave Logan, play-by-play guy,
and
for the
Denver high
Broncos,
school legend.
who, by the way, like
12,
13 state
12 or
championships
13 state
at
titles.
different schools, by the way.
4 different schools.
That's
all in
incredible.
the top class too, all in the 5A. He had a 4-peat.
He went to Sports City Pizza Pub with us too.
Yeah.
He was also the intended target on Red Right 88 for the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
For the throw that Brian Sipe had intercepted. Let me ask you a question. It's a good thing we've talked about in Buffalo. So Elway has said before, my biggest regret, should have taken Josh, but he's kind of put it on the coaches. Is that right?
It's ultimately his call, and you also have to look at it. It's Vance's second year, and he almost made a move to try to get Mike Shanahan back after Vance's first year. Adam Schefter reported that, and that's been confirmed. So you're just a few months removed from that storyline going into the final week of the season. And so, because Vance has talked about it now, and a lot of people are surprised Vance didn't get a head coaching job and is still the Broncos defensive coordinator. So it's good for the Broncos. But his biggest regret was trying to figure out quarterback without trying to win games. He's not saying that he was trying to lose games,
right.
But he said we had so many holdovers from that Super Bowl 50 team when he took over 2 years after, because Gary Kubiak coached one more year in 2016, and they went 9-7 but missed the playoffs. And then Vance takes over, and I think he won 6 games his first year, maybe 4 or 5 his second. But he said that we had so many good players and such a good defense that I should have leaned into that even more and grinded out games instead of worrying about the quarterback. And I think he had Case Keenum that year, if my math is right. And they just couldn't get it right until now. But I'm certainly going to say Vance overruled, and I don't know this for a fact by any means, but I don't think Vance nope, don't take Josh Allen. I really need Chubb, because you have Von Miller and you had Shaq Barrett. And I think that ultimately it was like, okay, we're going to have the craziest pass rush in the league, which the Broncos kind of have now by dumb luck with the way they've drafted and developed Cooper and Benito. But yeah, Josh Allen is the one, as he wins MVPs, or you see him, putting on that cape, and as poorly as he played and at times the Bills played, you're still right there in that game. You and I were both on the sideline. I was helping out Westwood One, that close to getting to the AFC title game, and then who knows what would have happened.
I want to talk about that game. You and I did see each other on the sidelines. I remember Dalton Kincaid scores, and I thought that was it. Like, okay, the Bills have this game now. And then
I thought the momentum when he scored, I was like, you know what?
100%.
I was like, okay, I don't have to think about covering next week. I don't have to think about Super Bowl.
And then things started changing, and it went the other way, obviously. Just from your big picture perspective, how good of a football game was that for you?
That was as enjoyable. So I've been lucky enough with Westwood One, although I think I could be the sideline reporter. They always have me as a sideline producer, which is kind of one of the silliest jobs. Your job is to hang out with the sideline reporter. It's always like a big national, Ed Werder has done it, and Laura Oakman, and this time with Amber Theo Harris. I've done it with Tony Baselli over the years and guys like that. But you just get to watch the game from the sidelines.
Yeah.
And then you help them get a guest post game when team PR says, who do you want to talk to?
Yes.
Nick Benito. Okay, here's Nick. So I'm just standing there and I have a backup microphone. So I get to just kind of keep an eye on injuries, but you get such a great perspective. This, having done sidelines now for so many years. The one time I got to fill in on KOA sidelines a few years ago for Susie was during COVID. So I was in the first row of the stands. In the opening game on Monday night when they lost to the Titans. But point being, I've been down there. I've been lucky enough. I was at that overtime game on Sunday Night Football where CJ Anderson against the Patriots runs around the left end the year they went to Super Bowl 50. I was on the field when they beat the Niners, and Demaryius Thomas caught a pass from Peyton Manning to set the all-time touchdown record. But in terms of just the back and forth nature and the stakes of the game, I was there for both AFC title games and beating the Patriots in 2015 as they were making that comeback. And then Brady throws the interception on the 2-point conversion after Gronk single-handedly basically carries him down the field, throw after throw, catch after catch. It's right there with that. I think the Super Bowl 50 team felt more special because of where Payton was in his career, but it's been such a long, that was a decade ago.
Yeah.
And so then to have a game similar to that, it was so much fun back and forth. And at any point you thought either team could win, and it was going to be a shame that one of them had to lose. And I couldn't believe how well the defense played and how poor Josh played a few times on a few plays. And they were still right there. And how good James Cook was again for the second year in a row against a team that was really great against the run, against everybody that wasn't the Buffalo Bills all year long.
After the game, we find out Bo Nix has the ankle injury. But that was really weird how it went down. What's fact, what's fiction about all that?
Okay, so here's what's fact. You're on the Bills sideline. I'm now on the Broncos sideline after they've gotten the ball back. They're going to drive down. If they score, they win. Okay, so now we're back because we're going to talk to Broncos PR about.
Who do you want?
I'm standing right next to one of the Broncos PR staffers, Amber Theo Harris. I'm right here. Bo Nix is from the distance from me and you to the camera, maybe another foot in front of that. So 5 yards. he's got Davis Webb here, and he's talking to the head of the medical staff. It was cold. Now, it wasn't cold, snowing cold, but so, everybody's got ski caps on. And I'm like, and I tell Amber, and Bo's sitting there, and he's doing this with his ankle. So he's wrenching his ankle around like you do when you might sprain it. I was like, I think something going on with Bo's ankle. Because you remember after the pass interference call, they call time, and then he takes a knee. Mm-hmm. Then they call timeout to ice the kicker. So there's a little more time. It wasn't like run the field goal on right away. It was a 30-second timeout or whatever. So it ends up being a minute. So Bo's there, and he's doing this, and I'm like, I think there's something going on with Bo's ankle. Again, having no idea the severity of it. And Tyler, the PR staff, was like, well, what are you talking about? I'm like, he's talking to Bo Lowry. He's like, no, he's talking to Davis. I'm like, no, isn't that Bo? And he kind of looks around. He's like, oh, that is, because Bo Lowry's about our size. And,
okay.
And I was like, trainer. Yeah, trainer. He's the head of medical.
Okay, yeah.
So something going on, but that's it. Game ends. He goes and talks to Tracy Wolfson, and we're talking to Nick Benito. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Bo talking to Tracy. Think nothing of it. Yep. Go in, locker room, and the way, they stay longer in the locker room. Post game, Sean comes in. He goes longer than normal. Then as we're about to go into the locker room, a lot of people go to the locker room. Nick Benito comes in. Jaquan McMillan, who made that interception, comes in. And then it hadn't been abnormal for Bo to come towards the end of the open locker room period. But I go into the locker room. It's kind of shutting down. PR staff, and I noticed this, like, all right, guys, we're done in here. And part of the lights were down. Not dark, but just down. And there was only like 4 or 5 people in there. I talked to one player, defensive lineman Malcolm Roach, and my camera guy comes over. He's like, oh, I already talked to him. So it was done.
Sure.
And Cortland Sutton was the last one to go. So we go on out. And we're walking back for Bo Nix's press conference. Haven't seen him. And I say to one of the other media members, I think Bo's got something going on with his ankle. He's got to be getting extra treatment. Again, there's no way to think that he's broken his ankle. I know this is a long story, but say that, whatever. So then we're sitting there. Nate Jackson, who I work with, played in the league 7-8 years. I'm telling him now what happened with Bo. There's definitely something going on with his ankle. I'm sure he's getting more treatment. Sean walks in, and we're like, well, this can't be good. And it still doesn't even click that he's coming in to talk about Bo. It's like, what else? What happened?
Because he had already gone?
He had gone an hour earlier,
Okay.
Or 45 minutes earlier.
Right.
From the time the game ended to the time he came in and announced it. Because I looked at when I got a video of the game ending, so I looked at the time on my phone. It was 1 hour and 2 minutes from the time the game ended to the time he came back in. And I started videotaping him again. Yeah. So call it just a flat hour from the end of the game that they go through all that. And you saw the picture that Bo Nix's wife put out of him sitting there kind of dejected on the floor. Yeah. And I give Sean a lot of credit because Bo's camp keeps stuff tight. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't have gotten out, but for Sean to come out on Saturday night and just say it and get it out there for the world and put their confidence behind Jarrett Stidham, who played well enough for them to win in that game. I mean, he didn't play great, and obviously the fumble cost him against the Patriots. But and you talk about a deflating moment because you have the biggest win, and certainly in Bo's career,
100%.
the biggest win in Sean's career in years probably, and biggest win in Broncos country since Super Bowl 50. And to have the wind out of your sails within an hour, and by the time that news spread, you talk about wildfire and the amount of calls and texts. Is this real? Is this, within the first 10, 15 minutes, it was wild. And look, the team rallied behind Stiddy. They played great in that game. Even if they would have somehow survived the Patriots, I don't think they beat the Seahawks with Jarrett Stidham. With Bo Nix, who knows? Okay, so you just said something interesting. You said Bo's camp. That's an interesting dynamic for me because in Buffalo, it's like Josh doesn't have necessarily a camp, right? Where you get things, you don't things. Anything with Josh, we hear from the organization. A few weeks later, you get Bo. Sean says something about Bo, and Bo's like, well, he doesn't really know. Yeah. What happened there? And so Sean tried to soften it yesterday, and I don't think there's a lot there other than I think Bo sees things from 30,000 feet really well. And so when Sean gets up and jokes, and this is Sean's both strength and weakness, is that he won't talk to us about injuries at all. But then when he does, he'll say something he regrets. He's like, I'm not going to talk about it. Well, he's close. So-and-so, J.K. Dobbins is close.
Right.
But we're not talking about injury. Okay. So-and-so had surgery. It's great. Okay. We're done with that. But it's so inconsistent. And so he comes in and says, oh, Bo actually had this in high school and in college. If I'd have known that, I wouldn't have drafted him. So he's joking, but he says that. Then fast forward to, he had the cleanup. It went well, whatever. And he said he was predisposed was the word Sean used. Well, Bo then, at best I can tell, at Bo's request, does a conference phone call with us, which isn't abnormal. That's how we talk to Sean every Monday, and a couple of players is on the phone via Zoom, but it's a phone call. and he sets the record straight and says, I'm going to be on my same timeline as I was for starting my offseason workouts. It's 4 to 6 weeks, not 4 to 6 months. And he's like, I wish Sean wouldn't talk about my injuries. And I think the reason I'm saying the 30,000 foot view is that he's thinking about, well, I've got a contract coming up maybe at the end of next year.
Yep.
I don't need injuries to be a part of the narrative, and I don't need my coach.
Yeah.
There's no HIPAA violations because he's not his doctor. So people talked about
that.
Yeah,
I know. That's not right.
They get along fine. And, bring it to now the biggest story of the week, Broncos wise, because when you're picking 30th, and because the Bills haven't had a high draft pick in forever, the combine is okay, let's find some quality players, or who are they trading for, or who are they maybe signing because they've got cap space. But for the Broncos now picking 30th, we're like, kind of same thing. They could use a tight end. They need a running back. But when he drops the bomb, and I'd said this a month ago to Chris Harris, and I've got it on my show, I think Davis Webb's going to call plays because I'd gotten it from some pretty informed people that Davis is sticking around to call plays.
It's a way to keep him in the building,
It's a way to keep him in the building, 100%. And Davis gets along great with the quarterbacks and is a great conduit between the quarterback and the coach because they're both pretty fiery. And that's okay as long as you have someone that can calm. And Joe Lombardi fit that role well, as does Pete Carmichael, who's obviously now,
that's right.
And
Buffalo.
Pete's been around Sean longer than anybody. Sean said they worked together. He thought 19 years yesterday when he talked. So Davis being there to work with and help Sean and Bo is the best thing for the Broncos. And then when you add to it, Vance Joseph somehow doesn't get a head coaching job, despite 10 of them being open. You now bring back maybe the best defensive coordinator in football with perhaps the best defense in football. They're going to be pretty formidable again.
Two things about Davis Webb I love. Number one, big hockey player from Texas.
Huge hockey player. And it's funny because I thought about that again today. Now that it's official and that he is not only the OC, but we get to talk to him once a week, I want to do something with our hockey people because the Avalanche practice about 5 feet from the Broncos, just right around the corner.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, the Avalanche practice at Family Sports.
American kid, gold medal, right?
Yeah.
You can definitely have a lot
we could have him. We could have
to talk about with that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Get him over there. Maybe get him against McKinnon. And
I love it.
McKinnon will probably throw him into the
And number
boards.
2, I went over during warm-ups. He's thrown with Bo. I just walked up to say, hey, he looked right at me. Hey, Sal, what's up? Remember my name?
Yeah.
Which meant a lot to me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I haven't seen Davis in years, but he meant a lot to me. They remembered my name. We caught up a little bit, said hi. We talked about my son playing hockey now. My son's a 12-year-old. He loves playing ice hockey. And then, of course, the Bills go out and hire Jim Leonhard. We're going to talk about that in 1 second. Once again, Sports City Pizza Pub, 1407 Niagara Street. Make sure you check out all the great pizza, wings, drinks, and the games being played. The Sabres are back. They're playing the Devils coming back. You're going to watch this after they do that, but on a road trip, then back in Buffalo. Final push for a 25-game stretch. The Sabres have the longest playoff drought in North American professional sports. If they can finish this off, they finally get there. First time in 2011, which is amazing.
That's wild, especially in a part of the country that loves hockey as much as they do in Buffalo. My wife's brother lives there. She grew up in Utica and hockey town.
Yes, yeah, you know it.
Yeah,
so we're waiting on that.
I can imagine just the pain and the angst. It's like Bills thankfully have obviously won a bunch of games and gone to the playoffs a lot. But you think about like the Dolphins haven't won a playoff game since 2000. Right? And even though the Jets went to a couple AFC titles, like you think about some of these franchises have been so bad for so long. As much as they love hockey in Buffalo, I remember when I was there for a Bills game working with Westwood One a few years ago when I think y'all played maybe the Cardinals. This is 2015. Going to Duff's.
Yes.
Not that I don't want to
go
to Sports City, but we're at Duff's and it's college football Saturday. I think USC was at Notre Dame or vice versa. And that game was on the big screen, but the amount of hockey that was on every other TV, like
amazing.
and I'm like, wait, but there's also like Cal's playing Stanford, or something. I'm like, there should be
tonight,
a couple more college football games on.
Again, we're recording this on Thursday. Tonight, I'm going to go find a place to watch the Sabres play the Devils here in town. Like, I need to watch that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big deal for me, right? All right. Herbal IQ, New York State Licensed Dispensary, 6300 Transit Road in Depew, TSC Buffalo, tscbuffalo.com. They're going to be a part of my big Sal's House taking place March 12th at the Ridge in West Seneca. My guy, Matt Perino, is going to join me. We're going to away signed mini helmets, signed photos, signed football, signed jerseys by the Bills. Come on by, 6:30 p.m., March 12th. Okay, Jim Leonhard. We know about him as a player. Started off in Buffalo, undrafted free agent 2004. Plays for Rex Ryan. Learns under Vance Joseph. So we know the DNA of the defense. What are the Bills getting in A, philosophy and scheme that you think he'll bring, and B, the person?
Well, so the person, A, across the board, and I was lucky enough to cover him near the end of his career, and I saw one of my favorite people of all time, John Fox, yesterday in the lobby at one of the hotels here, and Fox was great to cover. great guy to tell. You talk about a great storyteller.
I met him at St. Elmo's 2 nights ago.
Easy to see how he and Sean Payton
and
are
he was
friends.
super engaging right away.
Easy to see how he and Sean
Yes.
Payton, I mean, they obviously worked together with the Giants and went to the Super Bowl with Jim Fossil, but they're different, but they're similar, and they see football the same way. But so as Foxy reminded me, I brought Jim Leonhard to Denver. I was like, oh, yeah, 2012, because Trendon Holiday, one of the most dynamic return men of all time, couldn't catch the football. When he caught it, he might score, but he also might drop it on the carpet on a punt. And Jim Leonhard, who was forever until I think Denard Robinson surpassed him, the Big Ten's all-time leading punt returner in terms of return yards.
Okay.
I want to say he was a walk-on at Wisconsin, ends up a 3-year starter. I still don't know how he didn't get the head coaching job there at Wisconsin after being their defensive coordinator, but he's extremely smart, very smart. The secondary guys, you talk to Pat Surtain, the best cornerback in football. You talk to Brandon Jones. You talk to Talanoa Hufanga, who obviously has had some good coaching out in San Francisco. They love Jim Leonhard, and they know that it's going to be a void that needs to be filled. Now they still have Vance Joseph there running the show, and I think from being around Vance, from being around Rex, Jim has probably learned where to be aggressive and when, because Vance's blitz rates will vary game to game, but the timing of his blitzes and the design of what they're able to do on third down. The Broncos technically finished, I guess, as the second best third down defense, right behind Seattle by like a smidge. But I think about, we're here in Indy. They played week 2, lost on a 60-yard field goal that turned into a 45-yard field goal. But the call on third down, even though Daniel Jones has been moving the ball plenty, they figured it out in the second half. And a couple times on third down, got off the field because Vance dialed it up at the right time. And Jim spending a couple years. Sean Payton liked him so much. I think he had him for a little bit in New Orleans as a player. Sean liked him so much. That's why he made him an associate head coach last year, because other teams were interested in bringing Jim in.
Okay.
And I think the thinking was, okay, Vance is going to get a head coaching job. I need a steady plan in place, solid plan in place for succession with a guy that's been here. But then obviously the way it's worked out, Vance is still there. Now you got Jim and John Fox, as well as Pete Carmichael.
Let me ask you this. Jim said something that resonated with me. We asked him about some of the pieces on the Bills defense. I asked him a specific question about how defenses had to evolve from true 4-3s and 3-4s to fluid. Safeties are fluid. And he totally agreed. And he said he believes he's been at his best when he has very versatile players to move around. The guys that don't fit a certain box is the way he put it. Tell me about that and how that looked. Yes, not as him and defensive coordinator, but that looked like with him and Vance.
Well, because you look at the Broncos, and again, we can take it back to where we are standing at the scouting combine. There's nobody that was here a year ago that thought they were going to take in the 20s a cornerback. When you've got the best cornerback in football, you like what you saw from Riley Moss, you like Jaquan McMillan, you like the kid Chris Abrams-Drain out of Missouri. And so you're like, okay, corner, they're not. And also, I don't think people thought Jahdae Barron was going to be there in the 20s. But they end up going corner, and instead of forcing him right away as a starter, as a first-round pick, say, sorry, Riley, you're going to duke it out. They use him as a nickel. They use him as a dime. They played him, as a linebacker, tight end, shadow several times throughout the year. He played outside a bunch in those games when Pat Surtain was out with an injury, like those 2-3 games, didn't miss a beat. But the point is, they could move him around. Hufanga, you can play down in the box. That gave you versatility. Same with Brandon Jones. You want guy, even PS2, best corner in the league. He can go inside if he needs to. That's where he started. That wasn't Vance that started him there, but that's how they got him on the field at first. Before I think by week 2 he was starting outside. Point being, they mix and match and make it work. They've got a guy named Drew Sanders who they can't figure out what to do with because he keeps getting hurt. But he's inside, he's outside, he's inside, he's outside. They did it with Baron Browning a little bit. And so I think that, it's nice to say, oh, we run this defense. That doesn't work in the modern NFL.
Right.
Same with we run this offense or we run that.
No, that's right.
No, you have to be able to adapt and adjust and evolve and plug and play with the best coaches coach their players, put them in the best position. They'll say, this is what we're running. Y'all better run it. Or that's how most
the
coaches
Bills have. There's a lot
of
talk about what's going to happen with Ed Oliver. Because does he truly fit? Now, he's a penetrating, undersized defensive tackle.
Yep.
Can't really play a true traditional nose, but he can play over the nose and penetrate. But how does that look in a defense like this? So there's a lot of debate about that. What did they do in Denver?
Well,
and what did they have?
So they were able to go out and sign Zach Allen, who came with Vance when Sean Payton got there from Arizona. He'd spent 4 years there, at least 3 of them with J.J. Watt.
Okay.
So he got to learn from the best other than Aaron Donald, the best kind of inside defensive tackle, 5 technique pass rusher we've ever seen. But they made a point of keeping DJ Jones and then signing Malcolm Roach last year because they wanted nose. That defense wanted guys that can play nose in the middle. Yeah. And then they wanted their defensive end. So Ed Oliver, if they play him the way they've played Zach Allen and John Franklin Myers, who came over from the Jets and is now about to get paid somewhere, maybe back in Buffalo, maybe that makes sense to go.
Sure.
And I think that if they keep Ed Oliver and he uses them the way I think he should use them, you play him the way they play Zach Allen and John Franklin Myers, maybe with John Franklin Myers, and you still have to identify your true nose.
Good name, because I want to ask you, I think PJ Locke's also a free agent.
PJ would be great.
And the Bills are going to be looking for a second safety next to Cole Bishop, most likely. I mean, that's the first guy that comes to my mind because of Jim Leonhard.
Yeah, and PJ would be great because he's played so much football. He's not going to demand a lot of money, but he'll get a healthier check to come to Buffalo because they just signed him again last year on a 1-year deal. But you remember Kareem Jackson, who I think finished up his career in Buffalo. I've seen a few times this week because he's now working in the Broncos personnel department as a scout. Kareem got suspended several times a few years ago, and PJ played in all those games. And Justin Simmons, who had never missed any games, missed a couple of games, and PJ played in those games. And then when Brandon Jones goes down, PJ Locke steps right in. And the year before, PJ played, I think he might have started 15 games. So he's a guy that's played a lot of football, really smart. How about this? He grew an inch last year. He had neck surgery, and then they put they put a device in his neck, a rod. He is now 1 inch taller.
Okay, I don't need a neck injury or surgery, but can you put that in there and maybe you and I can grow a little bit?
Believe me, I am. I'm certainly my ears perked up, and I'm like, all right. I mean, my NBA shot is probably probably down.
Any other Broncos defenders that are becoming free agents?
Well, Jaquan McMillan, who I know Bills fans, he's probably one of their least favorite players they can remember. Certainly in recent years. He's a restricted free agent. Okay. So you'd have to give up a pick to get him, and the Broncos really want to keep him. There's also a scenario where you could trade for Riley Moss. I think he's potentially available because you've got Jahdae Barron. You're probably keeping J-Mac. You, of course, have PS2.
Well, they just drafted Max Harrison last year, obviously.
Right.
And they have Christian Benford. What about linebackers? Anybody?
So Alex Singleton's a free agent. and
because the Bills are probably in the market here. I mean, unless Dorian Williams plays the other spot, which he might be able to, I think they're going to need another inside linebacker.
I just wonder if Alex and Matt are too similar with he and Matt Milano.
Well, Milano's gonna be free agent,
so if Milano's gone, then he's your.
Bernard will probably
okay, so Bernard's there. So then Alex, if you like the way Matt Milano played when he played, then Alex is kind of a clone of that. So Alex is free agent. Also Justin Sternad, who you talk about playing a lot of football. Justin Sternad came back again on a 1-year deal. Took him a few years ago, mid-round guy, special teams core guy. Mm-hmm. Had to play a bunch when Alex Singleton tore his knee. He played 14 games 2 years ago when Alex tore his knee against the Bucks in week 3, played the rest of the season. And then this year with Dre Greenlaw missing so much time. And then Dre comes back. Alex has the cancer diagnosis with the testicular cancer, misses a game or two. They don't miss a beat. They want both those guys back. Of course, you always say you want all your guys back. They haven't really said that about JFM because they know they can't afford them. But we'll see. They've got some cap room. Is it a priority to re-sign a couple of those guys or to make a move for a veteran wide receiver? But
which the Bills are in the market for as well.
But I think one of those linebackers, if Jim likes either of them, if not both, you wouldn't be surprised maybe to see them because then they can come in and help communicate the defense, especially if Jim wants to adopt Vance's language.
Right.
Because when you have somebody in the middle that's not only calling the plays, but in the room and on the field can.
And one more connection from last year, or I should say to the Broncos, but it's not from last year. Bill's new special teams coordinator. He was in Denver with Prater when he kicked the who's his name? Matt. Oh my goodness. He was with Arizona last year. Now I can't think of it off the top of my head. Hold on. Folks, I gotta do this. I know it's funny, right? I can't even think of it.
The new special teams coordinator. Because I saw Ben Kotwika. Who's with the Ravens.
Okay. Jeff Rogers.
Oh, Jeff.
I
saw Jeff the other night when I was
thinking Matt. Because you know why I said to him, said to him at the press conference, do you prefer Jeff or Jeffrey? He said, well, there's nothing Jeffrey on my birth certificate, just Jeff. Okay.
Yeah, no, Jeff's been, and he was with Fox too.
And what I looked up about him was they had some returns for touchdowns when he was in Denver.
Yeah, no, the special teams was good with Jeff Rogers. He left when Fox left because Gary Kubiak brought in, he went with Foxy to Chicago.
Okay, yep.
And Gary Kubiak brought in Joe DeCamillis, who's a Hall of Fame caliber special teams coach, maybe. And so, Jeff is as seasoned as there is, and he's coached a bunch of different players in a bunch of different positions. He's had some Pro Bowlers, kickers, punters, returners. I think that, special teams is often overlooked. And one of the conversations I had with somebody was, you look at the teams like Denver and teams where they're going to pay attention, they resource and source the special teams. It's not just about, oh, he's a great corner, he's a great wideout, he's a good linebacker. We'll see if he can play special teams. It's, has he played special teams? What's his willingness? What's his understanding of it? And so we'll see how much having Jeff there and how much Brandon Beane and now with Joe Brady running the show and with Jim, how much when they're building out the roster, how much is special teams going to check boxes more than, and I'm not saying it didn't with Sean or other regimes, but the teams that have the best special teams care about it and make it a priority.
Brandon Krisztal, and not only, of course, Guerilla Sports covering the Denver Broncos, but other sports. We talked about the Avs. They're obviously a great team. What's the temperature on the Rockies right now in Colorado, though?
So I saw the other day they have 2.8% chance to make the playoffs. Chris Bryant. So let's have a little fun with this. So Chris Bryant is going to miss the first 57 games. He signed a 7-year, $182 million deal to come over. And so one of my favorite people,
suspension?
Romy Bean. No, he's hurt.
He's hurt. Oh, you said 57 games. I didn't know if it was specific.
No, he's 60-day IL.
I get what you're saying now. I totally get it now.
60-day. So I guess they're playing 57 games the first 60 days. So Romy Bean, one of my favorite people, she does a great job as our CBS lead sports anchor. She puts up worst contract. Russell Wilson, Chris Bryant. Russell Wilson, the money he got paid, and I don't know the exact year to year, but call it 40-something million each year, and then 39 million to leave, 37 to 39 to leave. He, against the book, counted 85 million as a cap, but money to leave, paid him for his 2 years and 39 more million. So essentially 39 million for 4 years, if you don't even call it that. An extra 20 a year. Russ played 88% of his games the first 2 years, and then 0 games the next 2 years he counted against the cap. That's still 44% of the games. Chris Bryant, who's now heading into year 4, has played 24% of his games and has made $82 million in games he hasn't played.
Oh, my goodness.
So if you just broke down his salary by year, by game,
yes,
he's made $82 million in games he has not played. Of the 100 and whatever he's made, because it's 80%. He's made 95 million or whatever it is so far, and 82 has been, or that'll be after the 57 games.
Yes.
And I don't think he's going to then all of a sudden play the next 106 and finish out.
Nuggets?
So,
anything on the Nuggets?
They've got to figure themselves out. They've been so banged up, but you got the best player in the world, Jamal Murray, also playing at an all-star level all year. They've got to get Aaron Gordon back. They're still working through the rotation, but Aaron Gordon's been so banged up. Christian Brown was banged up. Joker missed a month. But this could be the year we see the Nuggets and Avs both make runs to the finals, which will keep Ball Arena very crowded. And you think about the Cronkies, the Rams make the NFC title game. Arsenal's at the top of the table in the Premier League. It's a good time to be a Cronky.
This is the year, by the way, too, that we're hosting NCAAs in Buffalo, first 2 rounds.
Oh, maybe you'll get my Jayhawks.
Yeah, so I know you're a Kansas guy. I mean, Syracuse ain't going to make it.
No, not this year.
But we saw Michigan had a chance at Buffalo, Chicago, or Philly. They said they want to go to Philly for some reason. They're going to bypass, and there's something with logistically in there. So I don't think we're going to get them as a 1. But a lot of times you don't want the 1s. The better games are a little bit.
You get the 116, and it's not great. But the 1-8-9 can be a good one.
For sure.
But the 8-9 game is good. Nonetheless, you want as many 3-14.
Yeah, for sure.
And close ones.
It'll be fun. Love going to that. I know you're big.
We had it in Denver last year. And your Q may not be here, but I might be back in Indianapolis in 5 weeks. I mean, I'm going to see at the owners' meetings first in Phoenix, right?
You're going to be there. I'll be there.
I'll be there.
We'll be there.
And then maybe heading down. I mean, look, KU could lose in the first round, and who knows if Darren Peterson, we might play as much as he does, or my Jayhawks could make it. I got to go. I'll tell you this story real quick. So Doug Gottlieb's one of my best friends.
Okay, I did not know that.
He's a coach at Green Bay, Wisconsin.
And he lost at Buffalo this year.
Lost to Buffalo.
To George Halkovich.
Right after losing in Lawrence, Kansas. Bill Self did him a favor.
I did not know you and Doug were He's not the favorite guy from Syracuse fans.
He got me my first job. It's funny because his mom's a Syracuse grad. He got me my first job in radio. I got him his first job at ESPN through some connections. We were in junior college together in California when he was between Notre Dame and Okie State. And I left Kansas, was playing football to junior college, thought I wanted to go to UCLA, go back to Kansas. And I would drive between Dallas and Lawrence and stay with Doug. And so we've been great friends for 25 years. But so I bring my 7-year-old to Allen Fieldhouse. This kid, all he knows is Jayhawks and the Buffs, because the Buffs are in Boulder and the Rams, whatever, CSU. But he, Jayhawk pajamas since he was a kid, Jayhawks through and through. We get to ride on the team bus. We get to be on the court during shoot around. We go back on the team bus, have lunch with the team, go back on the team bus to the game, warm up with the team, wearing our Green Bay T-shirts, which, by the way, happen to be purple. And it was pointed out to me, a proud Jayhawk alum wearing K-State purple, because it was Green Bay is green and white, but the purple was for this Native American tribe that they're in partnership with. So it was a tribute to them. So my kiddo's on the court. He's the first Jayhawk fan in the history of Kansas basketball to show up at Allen Fieldhouse, a fan of the Jayhawks, and leave a fan of the opposition. He's all about the Green Bay.
He's all about Green Bay now.
And I told Doug that. He's like, I'm a huge Kansas fan. I wear a Kansas sweatshirt and thank Bill Self every day for that game, even though they kicked our tail by 30.
That's amazing. It's awesome when your kids get to experience that stuff, isn't it? I know. My son, he's a big Buffalo sports fan. We go to Sabres games all the time. We love doing some
Yankees games.
Yeah, we went to Toronto. We were on the field for a Yankees Toronto game.
Yeah,
a couple years ago.
Get better than that.
No,
but we do realize our kids get spoiled because like when they get to go on the field again.
I know.
We went to the Pacers game last night. I haven't been to the game, a basketball game, as just sat as a fan in forever, and call it a fan. But I saw a bunch of Jayhawks with Embiid and Oubre and Quentin Grimes. But so we go Sixers, Pacers, and Boomer, the mascot, comes by, and it reminded me when my kid a couple years ago, we were at a charity event with the Broncos. He meets Miles, the Broncos horse. The next day, we're at the Rockies game. He meets Dinger, the stupid dinosaur for the Rockies, and he's like, "Who do I meet tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, no, this isn't every day."
I know. Yeah, remind my son sometimes. He knows now, like, not all your friends get to do things like this, but they know.
Hey, do we just sit in the suite? Like, no, you're not sitting in the suite. We're going to sit in regular seats.
I love it. Well, listen, anytime you want to come to Buffalo, sit in a suite at Sports City Pizza Pub.
Oh, I'm in.
We got you covered. We're going to do that. No doubt about that. That is Brandon Krisztal, Sports City Pizza Pub, Herbal IQ, 6300 Transit Road in Depew. And, of course, TSC Buffalo, tscbuffalo.com. And check me out, Sal's house at the Ridge in West Seneca, March 12th, a week before the NCAA tournament starts, the day after NFL free agency starts. Matt Perino, my guy from the Shout Podcast, Syracuse.com, going to join me. We're giving away signed merchandise from TSE, Bills helmets, jerseys. You could be a part of it. Thanks a lot, Brandon. I appreciate him, man.
Hey,
always great to catch you. You always make time for me, and I appreciate that so much about you.
My pleasure.
You got it.